Okay, let's talk about a trauma bond and the levels that I see them at. Um, just like there's a mirror of addiction coming from the empath, quote unquote, victim of the narcissistic relationship. Um, there's a role that you played, we played in that bond, and it's good to recognize that because that is something that's under your control. And this is not something that's exclusively done to you. So on a physical level, the trauma bond is a addiction to adrenaline, right? So the narcissist will in the sustained devaluation period, you are have that little carrot of hope dangled in front of you, but you're consistently being devalued, and it makes you want that golden period more and more and more. But every step, every day, that uh, affection for you, that attachment to you gets less and less and less incrementally, just very systematically. So think of it like a thousand, like the little meat slicers, how they take a big chunk of meat and slice away. That is a sustained devaluation. And the roller coaster is in and of itself, the pleasure and pain roller coaster is in and of itself, well, can be addicting if that's all you know, right? So narcs know to target the codependent, target people with a history of being having subject to narcissism, because they're kind of pre-trained, right? So if you already have a intensified amygdala, or used to that stress cycle, that roller coaster, getting put on that cycle by the narcissist gradually, subtly and gradually, they know that you can sustain it. That's partially why they target you. And so what you have to do is have an awareness on that physical level, that this is not normal, natural, sustainable, and to recognize that there's a big problem here, right? So you have to have more of a affinity towards a healthy attachment or a healthy relationship for yourself, rather than a kind of dramatic movie that is consistently degenerating, right? And think of it like, you're not so bored that you need to watch Jerry Springer. You'd rather sit in silence, right? So, not having an adrenaline addiction or breaking away from that, recognizing that it can be what it is, a distortion of a natural chemical expression. That's the first stage of the trauma bond awareness, trauma bond breaking. On top of that, you have a emotional trauma bond, right? So on an emotional level, you don't feel like you or deserve love or devotion, and so on some level, that's what allows you to stay throughout the sustained devaluation, which has no rational basis. But that's why they chose you, because you are rationalizing. You are, um, you know, uh, enduring the abuse, and so you're a better target for them because they can make your fuel last longer, use you for a longer time for a narcissistic supply. And so, without a healthy relationship with yourself, with some level of codependence or susceptibility to codependence, um, you start that process of basically enabling the abuse, allowing it to happen emotionally. So that is that is the emotional level of that. There is some level of like interest, right? So it is an interesting intensity of this roller coaster. You are trying to expand. You're trying to impress and chase this narcissist that is slowly devaluating you, and it's usually a mirror of childhood trauma, which you had to do the same thing with a father or mother narcissist or both. And there's a familiarity to it, really, and it could be entirely subconscious. So there's an emotional component as well. And beyond that, I mean, there's a spiritual component, right? The narcissist empath um, relationship is the match made in hell, between a willing victim and a willing uh, victimizer. Um, you don't believe you deserve God's love, and it really can be at the highest level, um, a spiritual dynamic and a satanic dynamic, really. And in this situation, being subject to this suffering is actually the more ideal position because you don't have to replay the loop over and over again, right? There's no pleasure at the end of um, the narcissistic discard, at the end of the sustained devaluation process. There's just are you willing to subject yourself to it again when they try to decide that, hey, it's time to take you out of the toy box and take you off the shelf? Are you really willing to go through this another hell loop? Really, do you really believe you deserve uh, this layer level of purgatory? And there's mobility for empaths. I'm not saying that the capacity to change doesn't mean that they change, right? A lot will go back to their narcissist. A lot will find a new narcissist and repeat the pattern. And some break out, and processing that experience and internalizing it, getting beyond it, recognizing its origin, usually within a family relationship, a historical echo, and being able to grieve it and being able to understand it, integrate it, and move beyond it. So that is the trauma bond process. Again, I tie it to 3 layers, and it's important to be aware on every level, whichever you believe. And thanks for listening.